She wasn't happy at all about moving from LA, and she wasn't pleased about moving so fast. Mom said she had problems at work, and we had to leave immediately. She found a wonderful house and a new job. She didn't want to change school or the place she was used to, but of course, there was no choice. We drove to Westlake Village. She stared out the window the whole way and didn't feel like talking. The new house looked fine. The drive, well, not too long, was tiring. Her mother told her to choose a room. On the whole, she didn't care. The house was small, and she just went to the room on the left. There was an old closet, bed, table, and chair. Nothing else seemed to fit. She threw herself sadly onto the bed and remembered the fun life of LA. What was she going to do here? Her eyes closed with fatigue. She woke up in the middle of the night. She thought she heard the closet creaking in her sleep. Of course, it was nothing, just an old house. She wanted to get a drink, but she remembered she hadn't even looked in the kitchen. She felt uncomfortable, like someone was watching what she was doing, so she went looking for her mom. She was asleep in the room across the hall. She asked her if she could sleep with her. Okay, Mom replied. Don't you like the room? She assured her that the room was fine. She just hadn't gotten used to the place yet. In the morning, her mom went to the interview and went to the new school. The school was better than she expected, with no lousy atmosphere. She met many new people, but when she walked in, the unpleasant feeling came back. Why does she always feel like there's someone here? Mom called and said she'd be late. You're a grown-up. You can eat your dinner. I'll try to be back by nightfall, she said. She ate dinner, wrote her essay, and sat down to watch the movie. It was fascinating and a little scary in places. Suddenly, the lights went out. It was strange and frightening. She wanted to call her mother, but she heard the sound of running water in the kitchen. She forgot to turn it off. She ran to check, but no water was open. She heard splashing. She got scared. And then, as if a shadow flashed in the hallway, quite large as if it were the shadow of a man. The last straw to her psyche was the sound of the creaking closet opening. With all her might, she rushed for the exit. Right at the door, a dark silhouette suddenly grabbed her. She screamed in terror, so loud that she thought all the neighbors heard her. God, Tracy, what happened? The dark silhouette turned out to be her mom. She was already back and surprised to see her without lights. It turns out the light switch was just faulty. Mom turned on the light and started talking about her new job. In the morning, it didn't seem so creepy. At night, she didn't go to her room and asked her mom to throw out that closet. She was surprised, but she agreed, and she breathed a sigh of relief. For some reason, it was the closet that bothered her the most. It was dark and shabby. She didn't dare look inside, though she needed to put things away. On her way to school in the morning, she met a woman wearing a strange hat. She looked at her and asked if she lived in a haunted house. No, she babbled and ran away from her. What was her surprise when the girl with whom she sat in biology class also called our new home? After class, she told her that the house was full of legends, and that's why the rent isn't expensive. A lot of landlords and tenants have changed there. No one has ever stayed there more than a week. They say there used to be a girl from a wealthy family who lived there. She was unmarried and pregnant. Her man ran away when he found out about the baby, so the family sent her away to hide the shame. But when the girl gave birth, no one saw the baby. The girl didn't communicate with anyone. No one could ask where the baby had gone. She returned to her family and never returned to these places. And unexplainable and creepy things started to happen in the house. Suddenly, objects were disappearing, and at night, someone was heard crying. One of the women who lived there said that someone kept rearranging things in the kitchen. She probably didn't notice it right away, but everything wasn't arranged the way she had left it every time she came back. In doing so, nothing was missing, just a change of location. The others didn't say anything. They just packed up and left. Then, events took on even creepier hues. A married couple who came with their child couldn't find him, even though the boy never fled without asking. They searched the entire house and the neighborhood, and other residents helped them. The mother was in tears. Finally, they decided to return home, in case he had already arrived. His mother entered his room and saw that the closet door was open. At first, she wanted to shut it, but then she looked inside. In the closet was her little boy. He had just suffocated in there. The father and mother claimed to have looked for the child there, but the cupboard was empty. And how could he have choked in there if the closet could be opened easily, both from the outside and the inside? Since then, everyone who tried to live there complained about rearranged objects and incomprehensible noises. And one of the men who lived alone hanged himself on the chandelier in the hallway. He was withdrawn, and no one knew what had happened to him. "She won't know how you and Mom decided to live there," Cassie whispered. She didn't feel comfortable, so she didn't go home after class. She just went to the park and waited for her mom to come home. There was a morning woman in a hat walking in the park. Olivia, the name of the woman in the hat, sat down next to her on the bench. Her version of the story was more extended. The pregnant girl was from a mighty and prominent family. There was no way she could give birth outside of marriage. Her family left her in the house all alone. She gave birth right in her room and put the baby in a closet, and he suffocated there. Now nothing was holding her back, the pseudo-mother, and she went back to her old life. What a nightmare. She was shocked to hear that. "You should move," the woman said goodbye. That's what she thought too. When she got home, she found her mother hadn't returned yet, and she wanted to go outside again. But it wasn't that easy. The front door slammed shut on its own. Before, she would have thought it was the wind, but not now that she knew the creepy mystery of the place. Something glittered on the floor. Little droplets led into her bedroom. She rubbed one drop with her finger. Blood! She rushed to the window, but it didn't want to open either. Back to the door. Locked! There's no beeping on the phone. It's all like a nightmare. She hears the phone crackling and the upstairs closet creaking. She can't even scream, only a stifled groan. The door swings open and her mother is alarmed, looking at her with horror. She crawled out of place, her whole body shook. She could not breathe. She decides to tell everything. Mom talks and talks about superstition and scientific evidence. She doesn't care. She feels there's no need to wait for proof the house or whatever inhabits it wants a new victim. She doesn't like that perspective. She begs her mother to leave, but says she rented it for 6 months and didn't want to throw it away again. Then look in the closet, she decides. We went into the room. Mom looked in the closet. See? There's nothing here. Indeed, no one. Let's get rid of it, she asked. Mom agreed to do it tomorrow afternoon. At night, she felt like someone was watching again. And when she got up and went to the window, she thought she saw eyes glinting in the crack of the closet. She tried to distract herself by listening to music and drawing. Through the sound, it sounded like someone crying, sobbing sadly. She didn't want to think about it. As if she pretended nothing was going on, nothing would happen. We called the company that took away the old stuff in the morning. As they were taking out the closet, something fell out of it. She picked up the chain, and there was an engraved pendant. Inside was a photo of a pretty young girl. She must be the aristocrat. "Can we go away after all?" she asked hopefully. But her mother was adamant. After school, she went for a walk again, but didn't meet anyone. Before going home, she called the home phone. Mom picked up the phone and said she was already home. "Then I'll be right there." She was happy. When she got home, she went straight to the kitchen to eat. She had no pocket money, and she only ate at home. The house was strangely empty. She called out loudly to her mother, but no one answered. She went to look for her, but strangely, she wasn't in her room. Where is she? She called her cell phone. "I'll be home in an hour," they said on the phone. Oh, then who answered? "Don't talk nonsense." Her mother brushed it off and hung up. The air felt thick, and she stuttered and couldn't breathe in. No one was going to save her this time, she realized. Maybe she should pretend. She was going to get groceries. "Mom, I'm getting bread." Strangely enough, the door opened quickly. As she ran away, she kept thinking about how to convince her mom to move in. She almost ran into a woman in a hat. "Where are you going in such a hurry?" "I'm scared in the house," she said. "Let's wait for your mom at her place," Olivia said. We went to the next street. "You know, the girl's relatives came to get the baby. They thought she left him at an orphanage. She wanted to take him back to her family. She died a year later after giving birth. She accidentally drowned, swimming in the river. Or maybe not accidentally. Who knows? No one should live in this house, so there won't be more accidents like that. That's for sure," she thought. Perhaps the ghost of this child is killing other children. Though, no, the man died too. That's when she realized, and a wave of horror swept over her. It's some sacrifice. He's putting the family together. She was safe. There was no girl in this story. Her mother needed help. A boy, a man, now needed a woman. Running, she rushed towards the house. Olivia, of course, didn't have time to run like that. The house was locked from the inside. The phone didn't answer. She banged on the door, trying to open it. Olivia called the police. When they arrived and broke into the house, they found her mother drowned in the bathtub. No signs of violent death. It was ruled an accident, but no one drowns in a bathtub. Now that many years have passed and she has children of her own, she thinks about it all the time. And she felt, if I'd still persuaded her to move out, maybe her mother would still be alive.